Imagine being in a live interview, in front of millions of people, and suddenly, your shoulder moves on its own. Your eye blinks uncontrollably. Your head turns without you wanting it to. Now, imagine that happening every single day. Not because you're nervous. Not because you're distracted. But because your own body has decided it won't obey anymore. It's as if your mind says, "Don't do that," and your body replies, "I'm going to do it anyway." Today, you're going to learn about one of the most misunderstood neurological syndromes in the world, Tourette Syndrome. A condition that causes the body to move, speak, and react without permission. And more than that, we'll show you how celebrities you know well live with it every day, silently, both in front of the cameras and behind them. So get ready, because what you're about to hear may change the way you see Tourette, and maybe even the way you see the behavior of the people around you. Tourette syndrome, or TS, isn't a rare condition. It's estimated that 1 in every 100 people has some degree of the syndrome. But even though it's relatively common, it's still surrounded by prejudice, jokes, and a major lack of understanding. Tourette is a neurological disorder that usually appears in childhood, typically between the ages of 5 and 10. It mainly manifests through what are called tics, which can be motor, like blinking, head jerking, or making faces, or vocal, like coughing, grunting, repeating words, or even involuntarily blurting out swear words. But don't worry, not every person with Tourette goes around yelling obscenities. That specific symptom, called coprolalia, only occurs in about 10% of cases. The vast majority have more subtle tics, but even those can be uncomfortable and lead to embarrassment. Now think with me, how do you live like that in a world where anything different becomes a reason to judge? How do you control something your own brain doesn't? Despite the challenges, there are people who don't just live with Tourette, they shine, inspire, and break barriers every single day. Let's now take a look at 5 celebrities who deal with this condition and show, with courage, that living with Tourette isn't the end, it's just a different way to begin. First on our list is none other than Billie Eilish. Singer, songwriter, multi-Grammy Award winner, and someone who lives with Tourette syndrome. She revealed her condition very spontaneously, after videos of her tics started circulating on social media. Instead of hiding it, Billie chose to talk openly. She explained that her tics are physical, quick movements in her neck, eyes, and head. And that when she's focused, like during interviews or performances, they tend to become more noticeable. She said, "Some people think it's funny, or they think I'm trying to be weird. But I'm not. It's something I can't control." Her honesty was a relief for many. After all, seeing such a young, talented, and successful artist living with Tourette opened up space for a real conversation about it. What many don't know is that as a child, Billie went through intense anxiety because of her tics. She shared in interviews that she felt trapped inside her own body. But she found a sense of freedom in music, especially in being able to express herself in her own way. Billie also mentioned that she was afraid to talk publicly about her condition at first, afraid she wouldn't be taken seriously as an artist. But the response was surprising. She received thousands of messages from fans who also live with the syndrome and who finally felt represented by her. Today, she inspires millions of young people to embrace their uniqueness. And she shows us that vulnerability is also a form of strength. And the most incredible part? She doesn't let the syndrome define who she is. Billie shows that you can be a star, even if your body sometimes wants to move on its own. Lele Pons is known for her humor, her viral videos, and for being one of the biggest digital influencers in the world. But behind the funny clips and the charismatic smile, Lele lives with something serious. She has Tourette syndrome and OCD, obsessive-compulsive disorder. In her documentary, she opened up about the crises, the tics, and the moments when her mind and body didn't seem to be in the same place. Lele shared that she was bullied because of her Tourette, that she spent years not understanding why she made certain movements or said certain things without meaning to. And that, for a long time, she felt ashamed of her condition. She also said that in her teenage years, she socially isolated herself to avoid stares and comments. Her tics would get worse during stressful times, which made her feel even more insecure. On many occasions, she tried to hide her symptoms, creating a version of herself that seemed more acceptable to the public. But that only added to the pressure she felt inside. It wasn't until she began opening up to her fans that she realized something important: she didn't have to pretend anymore. Acceptance came with time, and with the support of people who truly mattered. So what did she do? She turned it all into strength. She chose to speak out, raise awareness, and help others who were living through the same thing in silence. She proved that it's possible to live, create, laugh at yourself, and even become one of the world's top influencers, even when your body wants to do the opposite. Now let's step onto the sports field. Tim Howard is one of the most respected goalkeepers in American soccer. He played in the Premier League, represented the U.S. national team, and is remembered for one of the most iconic performances in World Cup history. And yes, he has Tourette. Tim was diagnosed as a child. He shares that both motor and vocal tics have always been present in his life, and that soccer became his escape, or rather, his outlet for expression. While others looked at him with confusion, inside the goal, he was unstoppable. Disciplined, focused, agile. He learned how to channel the energy from his tics into focus. Instead of fighting his body, he made peace with it. Tim Howard is a symbol of perseverance. He proved that Tourette isn't a limitation, it's just a detour on the road. And that it's possible to go much farther than others might expect. If you're a basketball fan, you might know Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. He played in the NBA during the 90s and was known for his speed, precision, and for being different. Mahmoud has Tourette, and it directly impacted his routine on the court. He developed repetitive rituals before shooting, and body and facial tics that, at first, nobody understood. He faced a lot of prejudice, was misunderstood, and missed out on opportunities. But he never gave up. He faced the stigma head-on and continued playing at a high level. Today, Mahmoud is a speaker, an activist, and a source of inspiration for those living with the syndrome. He shows that Tourette isn't a weakness, it's just a detail. And behind the tics, there's a powerful mind and a brave heart. Lastly, let's talk about someone you might not know yet, Jean-Marc Lorber. He's a teacher, author, speaker, and one of the strongest voices advocating for the inclusion of people with Tourette in Europe. Jean-Marc lives with intense vocal and motor tics. He's been excluded from classrooms, fired from jobs, and rejected in relationships because of his condition. But instead of staying silent, he wrote books. Instead of hiding, he took the stage. He delivers moving speeches about how society needs to look beyond involuntary movement and understand that behind Tourette, there's a full human being, full of ideas, dreams, and feelings. Jean-Marc is living proof that while the body may act without permission, the soul remains steady, aware, and courageous. Tourette is just that, an invisible condition that shouts through movement. A silent noise that few truly understand. But it exists. It hurts. It's exhausting. And it needs to be acknowledged. These individuals show us that it's possible to live, to shine, to achieve, even when your body doesn't fully cooperate. We need to stop judging what we don't understand. We need to start seeing with our eyes, listening with our hearts, and welcoming others with respect. Because in the end, everyone is fighting a battle you can't see. And Tourette is just one of those invisible struggles. If this video helped you in any way, don't forget to give it a like. That tells us this content matters to you. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button now, because here, we talk about real, human topics that deserve to be heard with an open heart. Oh, and there's another amazing video right here on the screen, already waiting for you. Click it and keep watching, because knowledge is never too much, and empathy is never too little. See you next time. And remember, sometimes the body acts without permission, but the heart always knows the right way forward.